Happy Halloween, listeners. Welcome back to our countdown of favourite movies. You were here, I'm hoping, the other night. If not, for 11 to 20. If not, go and check it out, please. It came out on the 27th. So, yeah, this is part 2. We're going to go straight from number 10 and count down and see what our favourite horror movies are. Is your movie on the list? Just keep listening.
Enjoy. So we will probably go to, we will go to how we always do the regular top 10 now. So for our new guests, we basically go around in a circle and we ask everybody's number 10, then number 9, then number 8, then number 7, etc. And a little explanation as to why, as we've kind of been doing, but perhaps more in depth if necessary. Before I do that, though, DK, I'll probably cut this, but you have this image on that you wanted me to project on screen, and you've never brought it up yet.
Yeah, because we never really got round to it. We're just saying that you can pretty much take anything as a horror, looking at it through the right lens. I don't know if either Fred or Tori's seen this. It's a clipping from a TV guide for The Wizard of Oz. If you want to put that up, Mike.
Yep, absolutely. There we go.
Yeah, and for the benefit of those listening on audio, the Wizard of Oz, transported to a surreal landscape, a young girl kills the first person she meets and then teams up with 3 strangers to kill again.
Is that real?
It is real.
It is real, yes.
They really worded it like that. Wow.
They really made it sound like a horror film.
Yeah.
It's one of the most famous, whenever somebody puts that challenge on social media of like, describe a film badly and make it sound, that's always what they use as the template. It's like, this is The Wizard of Oz. There's no lies, so you can't like lie or make it up, but you can twist the actual facts and make it seem like that. And yeah, Wizard of Oz is a horror movie. It just works somehow. Nice. Thanks for that, DK. Yeah, that was really cool.
That's actually pretty interesting. Well, Return to Oz is basically a horror movie if you've seen that.
God, we only watched that a couple of weeks ago, and it's still terrifying, some of those scenes. When she starts screaming her name in that hall of heads.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we may as well keep the same order, because why not? It's just totally at random. So, Tori, we'll come to you first and ask, what is your number 10 movie?
My number 10 is Night of the Living Dead, 1968.
Yep.
This is actually the very first horror film I've ever seen.
Oh, wow, really?
Wow.
Yeah, I was like 2. It was during like a thunderstorm and the cable went out and my brother had the VHS and like we were able to watch like VHS tapes and like I wasn't really supposed to be watching it. But like I was just sitting there kind of like playing with my toys and engaged in it at the same time. I was like 3.
The sentence playing with my toys when you're also describing watching a horror movie is very jarring.
I was just like,
playing with my toys, looking at the brain-eating zombies as you did.
It was just like mesmerizing, but then it like scared me. I had nightmares for like weeks after I watched that. And I actually had like a zombie phobia for a while after that.
They're coming to get you, Tori.
You do that too well.
I love that Shaun of the Dead does the twist on that with the when they're calling Shaun's mum and he's trying to explain the plan and stuff, and then Ed just picks up the phone and picks, "We're coming to get you, Barbara." It's like, oh, I get what you did. Genius.
They had to have named her Barbara just because of that.
Oh, entirely to make that joke, absolutely. Nice. Yeah, I love the social satire of the end of Night of the Living Dead, which has never been more relevant, sadly, of the black guy being the last survivor. Then he just goes out and gets shot and killed by the police anyway. It's very like, oh. Yeah, 2 tiny.
Yeah, that's such a messed up ending, dude.
That made me so mad when I saw that. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like you're rooting for Ben the whole time. Like,
yeah, good character, but yeah.
I really enjoyed the Tom Savini. I don't know what that noise was, but
yeah, that was my soundboard said zombie, but it didn't sound like a zombie.
I thought it was your stomach, man.
It sounded like indigestion, I'll be honest, yeah.
No, but I like the Tom Savini version that he did in the 90s.
Most of the remakes do. For sure. Awesome. Yeah, I can't fault it. Even the fact that it's black and white, I think, just adds to the atmosphere of it. I know some people that are just like, I won't watch black and white movies, but I'm not one of those people. So. Anything else about Night of the Living Dead, Ben Tori?
I'll just say one of my favorite scenes in it is when the little girl turns into a zombie and she's stabbing her mother with the shovel, and like it's like you have these very distorted screams and just like the imagery becomes distorted. It's like really creepy, and with the black and white, it just adds to the atmosphere, like you said before. It's just, I love this movie. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That was cool.
I won't do that again. I'm sorry.
No, that was awesome. I liked it.
You mentioned little girl screams, and I was like, I have to press it.
Too perfect.
Awesome. Right then, Freddie, what is your number 10 movie then?
All right. So my number 10 is actually gonna. I mean, this might be one of those things where if it falls into horror or not, but it's gonna be 1999's The Mummy, and I consider it like a gateway into horror, which for me it was
the horror movie, the Universal horror movie. So that's why it appears on a lot of people's lists, because I mean, nobody argues that the Boris Karloff Mummy is horror. So why would
so for me as a kid, like for me, my dad took me to see the first two in theaters, so it's just one of those movies that will always resonate with me, for just sentimental, personal reasons. A movie I watch yearly, like once or twice a year with my girlfriend. She loves it. I really enjoy the director too, Stephen Sommers. He made Deep Rising and a few other movies, which is really good. So
The Mummy, it's a great movie, isn't it? I mean, as I said, I would personally say more of a sort of Indiana Jones adventure type romp, but there's definitely, I mean, it's a horror
that's
movie.
why I say people could probably make that argument too, if it's whether it's horror or not. But for me, I consider it like a sort of gateway horror when I saw it at that certain age.
For sure. Well, it is a horror movie monster that's the central character, and there's scary things in it. Again, if you're scared of bugs, there's a couple of freaky moments in that movie.
People getting eaten up by the scarabs and stuff like that.
It's
like, oh man.
And I think it's either the first or the second one, because they bleed together a bit, but I think it's the first one where the guy gets his eyes taken out by the regenerating mummy off screen. Thankfully,
that's the first one. That's the first one.
I want to take your eyes, and just the effects of the mummy as it slowly kind of gets the flesh and stuff back around it is such a cool, like, for not being in a very high rated movie. It's very effective and well done. So
I love the story and everything about that. Just, I don't know, I saw it when it came out and I was like, I don't know how old, like 12 or something. I just thought it was like, there was moments where it like freaked me out, but for me it just always like will be like an action horror adventure.
I really need to see that one. I haven't seen it.
Oh really? It's got Brendan Fraser.
I love Brendan Fraser.
If you watch The Mummy Returns, you'll have to see literally the worst use of CGI in cinema history.
No, mate, you're forgetting Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I mean,
The Mummy Returns is far worse.
that The Rock as the Scorpion King is really bad, dude.
It's atrocious.
It is, and I like the second one a lot, but
I like the movie. Yeah.
But when that part happens, you're just like, man.
Yeah. Anyway, DK, we'll come to you next. What's your number 10 movie?
Okay, I think it's a bit of an underrated gem, this one, but I'm going to go with 1982's Poltergeist.
Okay.
A little underrated.
And Toby Hooper, who, credited to Toby Hooper, most people say it's Steven Spielberg did the bulk of the job.
But I mean, Tori will probably, remember this, but they spoke to quite a few people on In Search of Darkness, and they kind of downplayed that rumor, saying that's absolute garbage. Okay. It was a Toby Hooper from beginning to end. I mean, this was the first after finally getting into the genre after Unwanted Exposure at an early age, which I'll come to later. This was my go-to movie. I mean, it lures you in with its kind of Spielbergian E.T. sensibilities, and it makes you kind of feel at home, and then it just completely pulls the ground from under you. I mean, it gives you some truly good imagery. That midnight snack scene, I think it's I think it's a really well done film, and I think it still holds up today.
It's great.
It's one of those that I remember watching at a young age, and it just didn't, like some horror movies did, which again I'll get into later, but I watched it and I was like, yeah, it's creepy, it's very scary, and then it just never, I forgot it like the next day after watching it pretty much. And but then, I mean, little things like remembering the creepy guy in the sort of black mac and the hat or whatever, and just the ideas that sort of, say sucked into the TV set, and I remember vague bits of it and being a little bit like, this is a bit too freaky and I'm too young to watch it, but like I said, it didn't really connect with me for whatever reason.
I do remember the fact that I don't know if it's disputed, if any of you guys know, that it was actually cheaper at the end in that pool scene to use actual bodies.
Yes, I did hear that. Yeah, they used
replicas.
actual skeletons. Yeah. So weird. I don't know if that is true, but yeah, the story goes that it was cheaper to use skeletons that they got from like a medical research lab or something that were actual people at one point.
Isn't that one of the movies that's supposed to be cursed or something like that? Like, well, production.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it is with the Heather O'Rourke and.
Yeah, I did hear that sort of tragic story and everything for sure. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Somebody should make a documentary if they haven't already, which they probably have. And now I'm going to look silly about the curse of it because that's always fascinating. So.
Well, they have it on Shudder. They have something on Shudder called like Curse Films, and I think they talked about that one.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely have to.
I remember watching that.
Awesome.
I think that's the first thing I watched when I got Shudder, actually.
Oh wow! Okay, cool. So yeah, anything else on Poltergeist, DK?
No, that's everything. I think the score by Goldsmith helps it a lot as well.
Oh, any score by Jerry Goldsmith is brilliant. So, yeah. Awesome. Right, my number 10, and I'm probably going to get some flack for this, so I'm waiting for the slings and arrows. My number 10 movie is Grindhouse, and I should clarify, I'm not talking Planet Terror separately, and I'm not talking Death Proof separately. I'm talking the full-on experience of both movies back-to-back with the fake trailers in between and the machete trailer beforehand. So I just love it.
I didn't get to. I wasn't young. I was too young to go see that.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, we didn't get it in theaters, but when it came out on Blu-ray, they finally actually had it all. Because in theaters, you couldn't see them as a double bill. You had to watch. Death Proof came out first, weirdly, so we saw that, and then early the next year we saw Planet Terror. But when the Blu-ray came out, and I was like, finally, because we didn't even get to see the fake trailers unless you went on like YouTube and watched poor copies and stuff. So when I first got the Blu-ray and watched it all the way through like that, it was just like, this is fully the experience that it should have been, and I will never forgive whichever distributor decided that, no, we can't do that. We'll have to make it two separate movies because it loses a little bit of something, I think, when you do that. I know Death Proof is nobody's favorite Tarantino movie, but I actually think it's underrated.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a really good, it's a solid movie for sure.
Yeah, and Planet Terror is just fantastic as a kind of throwback to those grotesque, gory kind of, zombie movies of yore. It's so good. And again, Robert Rodriguez is brilliant anyway. But yeah, the fact that the fake trailers were made by some really huge names, including Edgar Wright, and just how silly and funny they are. Have we all seen all of the fake trailers from Grindhouse?
I think Rob Zombie made one. Werewolf Women of the SS.
Of the SS, absolutely. That's all with Nicolas Cage turns up at the end as Fu Manchu, isn't it?
Oh my god.
That's what I mean, though. They're just so cool and tongue-in-cheek. It's brilliant. So,
and I want a Thanksgiving movie.
The trailer for Thanksgiving, I was going to say, traumatized the crap out of me because the last shot of that is just so effective and like, yeah, so good. So have we all seen Grindhouse then? I'm curious.
I've seen Death Proof, but I've not seen Planet Terror.
Oh, you should definitely watch it. It's one of those, based on like 80s kind of grotesque zombie movie type stuff.
Yeah, it's way over the top.
I just like, all I know is like some imagery and like some girl with a leg gun or something.
That's Rose McGowan.
Yeah, Rose McGowan was like spinning around, shooting a gun. I was just like, what is this?
Oh yeah, it's very much it earns the Grindhouse title because it's not to be taken seriously. It's schlocky, but it knows that it is, and it kind of tongue firmly in cheek. Obviously somebody that lost a leg wouldn't be like, give me the machine gun and it'll all be good. I'll start fighting the zombies, but it knows it's ridiculous and runs with it. And again, it's just some of it I think goes a little bit too far for me on a couple of occasions, but then you forgive it all because Bruce Willis appears at the very end, which was a nice surprise. Anyway, but yeah, Planet Terror and Death Proof. And it's one of those weird situations because I don't know if you remember this when it came out as Grindhouse, to make it sort of a manageable length. They did the thing that they say used to happen a lot where it said like scene missing and it would cut away and then cut back as if it was partway through the action in both films. But you can actually get uncut versions where that doesn't happen of them both as well. And I would say if you are happening to, look around and find them, worth a look as well, actually. So, yeah.
Right on.
Nice.
So, yeah. Because there's in Death Proof, I think it's Vanessa Felito just basically does a full lap dance. But for the joke purpose in Grindhouse, it's like she starts to lap dance, then it cuts away and says scene missing, with the idea being that some horny projectionist was like, oh, I'm taking that home. But yeah, that is fully available on the sort of single release. And I don't think that happens on Planet Terror. I think it always has the scene missing thing because it does the joke of like, it starts off with them being attacked by 1 or 2 zombies, goes to scene missing, comes back, and they're absolutely swamped by a horde of them, and you just don't know what happened when with the little missing scene. But you could imagine like the shit just hit the fan, you know. So anyway, I've talked enough about that movie.
It's all good.
Yeah. Awesome.
All good.
So, Tori, what was your number 9 movie then?
Reanimator 1985.
DK is going to be your friend. Awesome.
Stuart John for the win.
So gory, and it's funny too. You know, I love comedy and horror mixed together, but like it also can get serious at times, and it can be like heartbreaking. The end was very heartbreaking. Actually, the end of all the Reanimators are kind of heartbreaking, but it's a really good like mad scientist like zombie film, and they're like different kind of zombies. So it's definitely worth the watch if you've never seen it. Excuse me. I was just gonna say that what's crazy is I did a podcast episode on like the whole Reanimator trilogy, and like I posted it, and Jeffrey Combs actually followed me on Twitter like a few days later.
Oh wow,
That's awesome.
That's so cool. Oh, the man is such a legend.
Yeah, I about died.
Cool. Oh, sweet. So yeah. Anything else you want to try to sell us on Reanimator?
No, just go into it. It's really good. If you said you've never seen it before, or you have seen
I've
it?
seen the first. I've never seen the sequels.
The sequels are really good. The third one's kind of like it was a made for TV movie. It actually came out on the Sci-Fi Channel back when they had like original horror movies, and like it was kind of like cheesy, but Bride of Reanimator is like everything I really wanted Bride of Frankenstein to be.
Oh, Bride of Frankenstein I love, so I will cut you off right there.
I love Bride of Frankenstein, but this is just like
yeah. That's cool. I can imagine. I remember seeing of it and thinking it would probably be interesting, and it's just one of those that I never got around to, but I definitely should. It looks like it would be good. And I do like some schlocky movies. Like I almost had Frankenhooker on my list.
Wow.
Yeah, which I know is terrible, but it's just like
it's good terrible. That's the thing, though.
It is, yeah, exactly.
It's good terrible.
Yeah, I'll have to give Reanimator another go and then watch the sequels. I think for sure. Awesome. So, Fred, what is your number? What are we up to? 9 movie then?
Yeah, number 9 is actually going to be Suspiria, 1977.
Oh, that one missed my list.
Absolutely gorgeous movie. I remember, like when I first started getting into horror movies, I saw this within like the last 5-10 years, and it was one that I always hear talked about. And I remember just didn't really understand it, but it just looked so fucking beautiful the first time I watched it. I was like, what the hell did I just watch? But man, it was such a great tale, such a good, like, I guess it would be like Giallo, or I'm not even sure
Giallo,
it would be
yeah.
Giallo or whatever. But just I don't know too much about that genre too. I haven't watched too many, but this one movie I remember watching, it just absolutely just stood out to me and will always be. The music on top of everything is just what I think I love the most. That soundtrack by Goblin.
That's my favorite horror score, I think, of all time.
Yeah, dude, that theme song. You have the opener with I forgot the name of the girl, but she's coming in from America to this country, and you just have that song playing, and all the wind starts blowing, it starts raining, and she's being taken to the academy, and just the visuals, it just feels so off already. And on top of that, it opens it with the murder, I think, before that.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah, so just oh man, such a great, weird, just weird, visually stunning movie, and just I don't know, absolutely will always like stick with me.
Probably the best way to put it, weird but visually stunning, because again, it does so much with atmosphere and use of color, and twist,
bright lights,
nightmare scenes involving everything from barbed wire to witchy spells and stuff that were just like.
There's even there's the part where like all the maggots or something are they're actual maggots, and just all covering the walls and everything, just so gross. But
I was eating rice when I first saw that.
That's horrible.
Rookie mistake.
I was not hungry after that. I'll say that.
No. Oh, I do have a Dario Argento film on my list, but it isn't Suspiria because it's my third favorite of his movies, unfortunately for me. But definitely very good. I would definitely recommend everyone. And again, still haven't watched the remake, but was interested to do so. But
I actually liked it. It's a little different, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
Cool.
It tried not it didn't try to replicate the original, and it kind of did its own thing, but it still had like some like the dance aspect to it and everything.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Awesome. So DK, we're up to you. What is your number 9?
Okay, now this one seems to be a movie that people either love or hate, depending on your feelings towards the ending. But my number 9 is The Mist.
Oh wow! I do like that. Oh yeah, I love the ending but just wow, that's crazy. That's awesome. That's on your list.
I would go to bat for that ending. That's a perfect horror movie ending, if you ask me.
It is pretty brutal. I mean, Stephen King, author of the story, he went on record saying that he loves what Darabont did, and he agrees with him 100% on it.
Yeah.
Because he only implied it in the book, right?
In the book, it left with them leaving this safe haven that they thought, this house, and saying, well, I'm sure we'll find, an end to this if we keep going. And they just pretty much left the house and just ventured on into the mist, and that's just how it ended.
Oh, okay. Dang, that's crazy then, because that's a whole different turn. What happens almost?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great premise. It's claustrophobic, atmospheric. I mean, it's got a beautiful score by Mark Isham, great cast, some fantastic creature design, and it doesn't just tell a story, it holds up a mirror to humanity. Unfortunately, in this, humanity doesn't come off that well.
Yeah, but that relates to what I was saying about Night of the Living Dead. I think those endings are very kind of similar in a way, in that there's no nice, happy resolution, and it is kind of like this. It's holding up that lens to human nature of like, this is where we're fucking up, basically, guys. Do better, So yeah, for sure. And Frank Darabont then directed The Shawshank Redemption, one of the greatest films ever made. So
I've never seen The Shawshank Redemption.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Great film.
Very, very emotional movie, but awesome. So yeah, anything else on what we said, The Mist? DK?
I just love it. I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen it, but the Blu-ray came with a black and white version.
Oh,
that's interesting.
The black and white version really holds up. It's a stark representation. Darabont wanted to release that one in cinemas, but the studio wouldn't let him, so he made sure they got it on the disc.
Wow.
Oh, cool. Didn't you say it probably makes the experience better, would you say?
I think so, personally, yeah.
Sometimes I think it does with those things, but yeah, interesting. Cool. I'll have to give that a watch in black and white and see if it's still as... I mean, it probably will be still as atmospheric and oppressive. Awesome. So we're up to my number 9, is that right? Yeah. My number 9 is another foreign movie. It is Let the Right One In from Sweden from a few years back now. Just because I love how completely it takes the vampire mythos type thing and then just does crazy things with it, which I don't think I've ever really seen before, even though they are kind of obvious. It's not like it goes that far out of its way in terms of what's been established with vampire lore, but it just the fact that it plays it as this, I guess, tragic obsession love story, but amongst children, and the way that it's beautifully creepy, and it uses its location to great stark effect. Anytime there's blood in white snow, it's very effective. And
that pool scene is just absolutely beautiful at the end.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
The kid is like submersed in the water. I don't want to get too much away, but
yeah.
And it's just like all you see is like you just kind of hear what's going on, and just you can kind of put together what's happening out above the water. Yeah, and it's a great movie
for sure.
I don't know if I watched the remake, but
I think that's
the remake is. The remake is one of those remakes where it's kind of like serviceable, but it doesn't really change anything. And it's just kind of like my overall effect after watching it was just like, well, why not just, not everybody's allergic to subtitles. Why not just, keep the original movie, make people watch that, release that internationally or whatever. But because, it loses a little bit of the effect, I think, the remake. But I was surprised how much they did keep it. But without wanting to spoil too much, there's some great scenes involving cats, for example, and truly heartbreaking, just a scene between a young actor and actress between like in like bedrooms and bathrooms and stuff. Again, can't really get into too much, but do watch it. It's an absolute masterclass in drama and creepy. Again, it definitely is horror, but it's very much a psychological exploration as well. So I'm guessing you've definitely seen it then, Fred.
Yeah, I just haven't seen the remake, and I'm kind of curious if that one is like holds up to it, but You said it was like
Yeah.
serviceable. So, but yeah, that first one I recall, just absolutely stunning and just
So good. Very well directed. And you've only seen the remake, Tori.
Yeah, I've only seen the remake, and I think it was when I was 14, so I don't remember it that much.
I think that's one of the things. It doesn't quite stick because like there's things that haunt you, I think, in the original that stick in your memory. But I was the same as the remake. I was like, well, all right, seen it before and it was done a little better, but never mind. DK, have you seen either?
Yeah, I've seen both, and I'm pretty much in concurrence with what you said. The original's a classic. The remake, it's there.
Yeah.
it's there.
But I'm like that with a lot of remakes. Like I'm the remake of The Grudge. I'm like, yeah, it's perfectly fine, but it doesn't do anything the original film doesn't do. And
No.
What do you call it? Quarantine. It's just it's fine, but it's the same movie. So anyway, moving on. We're back to you then, Tori. What is your number 8 film?
From Dusk Till Dawn, 1996.
That was so close to being on my list.
Wow, right on.
It is just so good. I love how it starts off as like a crime heist or whatever type movie, and then like when I first saw it, I didn't know it was going to be a horror movie. I just thought it was going to be like action or crime, and then like the vampires start coming out. I'm like, what?
Ooh, I have to ask this, so apologies, but have you seen the series? The TV series?
I think I tried to watch it, and I like when I was maybe in my I think I was like 17 when I tried to watch it, and like I don't think I could get into it. I'd love to try to go back into it and watch it and see if I like it now, though.
I loved it. I think it's really good. It explores way more of the kind of mythos of the creatures who are not technically vampires and everything. And yeah,
my girlfriend loved the series actually, and like she got me to watch some of it, and I was watching it. But yeah, they're like more like snakes or something like that.
Really?
Or like serpents.
Yeah.
Versus like what they're portrayed to be like vampires in the movie.
That was my introduction to Isa Gonzalez as well, who plays Santanico in the series throughout the series. Incredible. For various reasons, but just still don't know.
Another watch actually.
Yeah, I think as I remember, it was kind of slow to start because it just tries to kind of retread the movie in a weird way. But then when it actually goes in depth and does its own thing, about halfway through season 1, it's very special, I think. So yeah. And again, anytime Tarantino and Rodriguez work together, you know, from me placing Grindhouse on my list, that I was always going to be on board with the Dust Till Dawn. So awesome. Yeah, sweet, cool. What else is there to say? I was the same as you. I was just so surprised by the absolute twist of genre that just happens halfway through, and the whiplash that I felt of like, what's just happened?
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I'm showing it to somebody for the first time, I won't even tell them it's a horror film.
Oh, no, definitely not. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I like that movie a lot. It just was outside my list, but I do like it for sure. So yeah, you have my thumbs up on that one. Fred, what is your number 8 movie then?
All right, my number 8 is actually going to be James Wan's Insidious. It came out in 2010. Okay. Yeah, this was one of the first horror movies that I went to go see in the theater with my girlfriend when we first got together. She's pretty much the reason why I got really into horror too, because she was like more into it than I was. And we would go see movies. So this is one of the first ones we saw together. And I just remember, like, one of the things that stuck with me is, I don't know if anybody's seen it, was the very opening of the movie. You have this shot through the house, and you see like this figure of this lady, her shadow, and it's going through the hallway. And out of nowhere, the title card like comes in right after you see her face, and it just hits you with this loud, bearing like violins, like playing, and just uses old-fashioned like words, like just says Insidious. And I just remember having like this feeling like, oh man, this is going to be good. And for me, I felt like it was a really great movie. I don't know if people are familiar. I don't know if people are familiar with it, but it's all about a family. They move into a house, and their kid ends up in a coma. I don't want to give too much away about it. It gets a little paranormal after that, but yeah, their kid falls into a coma, and they're trying to like first, go the scientific route to see what's wrong, but of course nothing. They can't figure out what's wrong. He's perfectly fine to them, and then they have to find other ways, and they go to like a medium. And what's her name? What's her name? Lynn Shay. Yeah, Lynn Shay is in the movie. She's just so great. I absolutely love her and her 2 little lackeys or whatever she has in the movie. I think they're they don't overdo it too much. I could see some people making that argument. It gets really silly when they get introduced, but I don't know. I find the movie very effective.
It's a great movie.
Cool. I'm the odd one out. I haven't seen it.
Oh, right on, man.
It's been a while. Is that the one with Patrick Wilson and the Tiny Tim song?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's such a good scene too.
Oh God, that there's not much horror-wise that scares me, but that one freaked me out.
She's like walking to take out the trash, and then the music changes, and you see that figure. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, that song comes on.
So good.
It's good. I remember watching it just being like scared to hell because I didn't watch a lot of horror like too much, but this one just really stuck out. And it's one of the first ones that I watched with my girlfriend.
Nice.
That's awesome. Cool. I've heard good things. It's just I think it's the only James Wan film that I haven't watched yet, but I will definitely get to it. Awesome. Cool. What was that number? So DK, what is your number 8?
Number 8, going back to one that Fred's already brought up, and it's Silent Hill.
Oh, nice.
Okay, awesome.
Nice.
What do you like about Silent Hill?
Well, not only is it, to my mind, the best video game adaptation out there, but I think it's a damn good horror movie in its own right. It doesn't slavishly follow the plot of the game. I'd not played the games in a while. When I actually saw this, I was away from the universe for several years, and it just instantly brought me back. So much so that I went to see it another 5 times in the cinema. It would have been more. But the run ended before. But I really did fall in love with it. I mean, to me, it's a mood. It swims in atmosphere. I mean, I've told you this before, Mike, but I look at that place, the foggy part, and I know it sounds weird, but I feel at home.
No, I get that, dude. I get that. Silent Hill. That whole little foggy town is so just like looks so comforting and cozy.
It does, doesn't it? It's beautiful.
I just want to snuggle up by a fire, have sex with a bizarre zombie nurse, and then get attacked by a guy with a pyramid for a head. Sure.
Your typical Saturday night in Yorkshire, mate.
I'm very close to Newcastle. That's our typical Friday and Saturday night as well. Anyway, yeah, cool. So yeah, as I say, I probably should give it another watch, but. So yeah, you definitely were a fan of that, and you're somebody who was a fan of the games. Am I right as well? Yeah.
I played the original game, and I got through to the end, got the bad ending, then immediately went back and played it through from the start. And this was like 2 a.m. in the morning because I wanted that good ending. Damn it! And then I was away for a while, but seeing this movie, it just brought it all back. And since then, I've just become obsessed with Silent Hill. Played all the games through, and yeah, I love it. Got the movie poster in here.
Cool, awesome,
nice.
That's fair enough. So I'll move to my number 8 then, and it is again carrying on from what Fred was saying. It is another Italian giallo movie. It's a Dario Argento movie. It has a soundtrack by Goblin, and it is a movie called Deep Red, or to give it its original Italian title, Profondo Rosso, which I just love. It's my favorite Argento film. I do also like Tenebrae. That's my second, and then Suspiria third. But yeah, Deep Red for me is the one because without wanting to sound reductive, I think it's the most like a kind of traditional slasher movie, and I like those, but it feels like an elevated version in some ways. Like it's a bit more arty, and there's some really imaginative kills, and but in the sort of Final Destination way rather than the Saw way. You know what I mean? So does good things with the special effects, and again, just a nice atmosphere, an actual story behind it, which a lot of slasher movies kind of don't have. And it's, if nothing else, it's just gorgeous watching the locations that they go to in Italy and thinking, wow, I want to visit those. So yeah, definitely Deep Red for me. Brilliant.
I love
movie.
Deep Red. I saw that for the first time on The Last Drive-In. I know Fred, you watched
I watched that on The Last Drive-In too.
Wow, okay. Awesome. Cool. DK, have you seen any of these Italian giallo movies?
I've seen Suspiria, but I've not seen Deep Red, no.
No, Tenebrae? No?
I believe I saw Tenebrae years ago, but I've forgotten it, so it's another one I need to rewatch.
Yeah, I definitely recommend just Dario Argento in general as a director. He's fantastic with the Italian giallo and horror. But yeah, that's mine, Deep Red. This list is going to be very hard to make because we're all picking very different movies unless the top 5s all end up really well syncing, but we'll see. So Tori, what is your number 7 movie?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. It's very captivating, a very dirty, gritty horror movie, but it's also really fun. And I saw it for the first time when I was 8, and it disturbed the crap out of me. But like, I watched it over and over again. Like, I wore out a lot of movies when I was younger, and this was one of them for sure. I love Ed Neal as the hitchhiker. He does a fantastic job.
That's a
playing
good point.
crazy
Yeah.
person. He like, it's just insane. Like, the great job he does at that role, just playing a crazy person like that, like cutting into your own hand.
Mm-hmm. I really liked what they did with that character in the remake without, spoiling it. But but that creepy performance makes it in the original completely. Were you not freaked out as a youngster watching it, particularly by the end scene with the whole sort of family around the dinner table kind of thing?
The grandfather is what scared me. Like, the grandpa, like, he's dead. Like, when I was a kid, when I first saw this, I didn't know if he was alive or dead, but like, he just, like, I don't know, there was just something about him. I found him like creepier than Leatherface himself.
Oh, completely. Yeah, he looks way more monstrous, weirdly enough, even though the whole point is that Leatherface is meant to be deformed and that's why he wears the skin masks and stuff. It's like, yeah, dude, you're still nothing compared to your weird zombie granddad over there. But my sort of scene that lives rent free in my head is when they're trying to convince the grandpa or like provoke him to kill the sort of final girl, and he's just so weak, and he's trying to like whack her over the head with the sledgehammer.
Yeah,
it's just not happening. He's not connecting.
They're like trying to put it in his hand and trying to like do it for him.
Yeah.
So
I remember when I first saw that, I was like, that is just, disturbing. But yeah, very good for a horror movie, though. Apologies, DK, I've just ruined that one.
It's all right. It's me, mate. I'll have forgotten by morning.
True.
I've got the memory of a goldfish.
Yeah. True enough. But yeah, Tori, sorry, I talked over you there. But what else do you like about Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I just like the overall atmosphere of it. It really, like I said, was a like dirty, like just straight up horror film, and I love it. I don't know much more to say about it. It's just fantastic, and it's actually one I could rewatch over and over again. Not like a bunch, but like, it's so good.
I will say as well that the first time I watched it, I didn't even notice this, but the set design is outstanding, because when they go into the Leatherface's family's house, like random things like the lamps and stuff are made out of human skin. And I didn't pick up on that at all until the second watch, and was like, ew, that's so... oh. But, cost effective, I guess. We are in a cost of living crisis. If you have human skin, make a lamp. Maybe not. Anyway. Fred, will come to you then. What is your number 7 movie?
All right. My number 7 is going to be Adam Green's Hatchet, which came out in 2006. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that.
Oh, I love this film.
Yeah.
I was just reading about the Hatchet movies actually the other day.
I love the whole series.
Yeah, me too. Adam Green is probably one of my favorite, like if not my favorite directors. I really enjoy like all of his film, all of his work. He just puts so much passion, and he's got a podcast. I like to try to just follow everything he does. But Hatchet was just, oh man, it's such a campy film about like a group of people. They get stuck out in a swamp, and of course there's like some crazy hatchet wielding dude out there. There's a little bit more to it than that, especially when the sequels dive into like the lore of Victor Crowley. But it's just a really campy, fun movie, I think, and one my girlfriend and I just quote and rewatch all the time.
I think
love the little cameos.
Huh?
Ooh.
I love the little cameos by.
It opens up with a Robert Englund cameo. There's like a scene with Robert Englund and Tony Todd's in the movie.
Awesome.
Kane Hodder plays Victor Crowley. Like, just Adam Green just always works with like such a great cast, and there's like, especially in the sequels, there's a lot more cameos. Tom Holland, the guy that made Child's Plays in the movie. Not Mick Garrett, sorry, I got confused, but a few other people. But that first one,
Harris.
Yeah, Daniel Harris, which was intended to be in all 3 of them, but there was, an issue that happened, so they had to cast somebody differently in the first one.
I see. Because I remember reading she wasn't cast, and then they recast it with her, and then she's in all the sequels.
Yeah, she was. It was intended for her to be in it, and something happened last minute, so they ended up having to go with a different choice. But that's why they got her for the parts 2 and 3, and a little bit at part 4 at the end.
Okay, yeah, it's weird because I didn't know these movies existed, and then I think out of nowhere, randomly, a tweet by Adam Green showed up on my Twitter, And I was like, oh, he's a horror director. I've never heard. And I went down like a Wikipedia rabbit hole looking up, without wanting to spoil myself too much, like the synopsis and little bits about the making of the films. And yes, now I'm interested. I really want to watch all 4 of these movies.
Yeah, they're just, oh man, they're just so much fun and a little gory. And part 1 has one of the best kills like I've ever seen in a horror movie. I don't want to give it away, but you'll know it when you see it.
I think I know which one you're talking about, but I'm not going to mention it.
Yeah, you'll know it when you see it if you ever see it.
That's really cool. I look forward to doing that actually sometime. Sweet. DK, where is your number? Where are we? 7.
7. Yes, we covered it last episode, so there's not a great deal more I can say, but it's John Carpenter's The Thing.
Nice.
We have a long episode about it, but you
Yeah,
know, if you want to quickly give us a quick reiteration.
Well, I'm just going to say it's tense, it's tightly plotted, it's beautiful and terrible at the same time, and it shows just what Carpenter can accomplish when budget isn't an issue. I think it's a masterclass in sci-fi horror. It's an amazing film, but as I said earlier, this is kind of the watermark, as far as I'm concerned, for all Carpenter's films. I'm also going to put alongside it, you know, Prince of Darkness, In the Mouth of Madness. That entire trilogy.
You literally haven't named his best movie yet.
I'm leaving that for you.
He's
what's
talking
coming,
about
man.
it right now. What are you talking about?
Controversial. Yeah,
But,
well, you know me.
Yeah, I know what's coming on your list, mate. Don't worry. But yeah, I just love his movies, and I could only pick one, and it had to be this one. As much as I love, you know, his others, this one just beats him to the punch.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I even like, as I've mentioned to you before, I even like Christine, which never gets enough love. Again, it's not on my list, but I was very close.
I just watched that this year, and I was, that's really good. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, Stephen King and John Carpenter is a match made in heaven, if you ask me. But there we go. That's not related to The Thing, but yeah, The Thing. I was pleasantly surprised on the most recent watch that I even liked it more than I have before, and it's a very good movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to, you know, just as an aside, say In the Mouth of Madness, I love because it's the closest thing I've got on this list to Lovecraftian stuff. So
You don't have any Stuart Gordon films on your list?
I'm afraid I don't.
That is surprising to me.
I know.
Even Tori put Reanimator on her.
I know, mate. I don't even have Return of the Killer Tomatoes on this list. This is how hard this has been.
I'm kicking you out with a chat now. That's no, I'm joking. Awesome. Oh, that's cool. No, I think The Thing is beloved for a reason. I definitely can't fault it. And I did recently buy the prequel because it was like £1.50 on eBay on Blu-ray, and I'm interested to watch it after seeing a few clips on YouTube, even though I know it's not going to be very good. So we'll see what it's like. Yeah. I'll report back later, DK, if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
So are we up to mine now? Yeah. So my number.
Yes.
Speaking of Stephen King adaptations, my number 7 is 1976's Carrie by Brian De Palma.
Nice.
I just adore this movie. It's one of those films that there's a couple of films on this list that I was introduced to by my mum, sometimes at far too young of an age. And as I've mentioned kind of off air to Tori and to Fred, I was a bit of a wuss when it came to horror. So I wasn't, you know, I didn't watch things that were overly gory or terrifying, but something like Carrie, I was able to watch and until the very last scene, not be overly scared by and such, because I don't know it, just because it wasn't supernatural, it wasn't too bad. And yet I was on board and captivated. And again, all the words we've said, I sucked up into the atmosphere of it. I loved the story. As somebody who grew up as a complete outsider, I related to Carrie way more than I perhaps was mentally healthy. So, yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, there was a little bit of wish fulfillment, perhaps, that was in there. That was, again, not the best but thing for me. But yeah, I just love, and De Palma, like, such a good director.
I was gonna say shout out to Brian De Palma too, man, because he's just a phenomenal director.
Yeah, the fact that he has like an exposition scene where he literally just fast forwards as it plays out is just, I mean, who would do that? Who would have the stones to do that? But De Palma does it. And yeah, awesome. Very good movie. Sissy Spacek as well. And Piper Laurie, both great. But again, I could rave about it for ages. It was when I first got the job in that cinema that we were discussing, we had to give our favorite movie to put onto our name badge. And Carrie was on my short list of movies. In the end, I went with Terminator 2, but Carrie was definitely almost on there. So Nice. So that brings us to people's number 6s. And we'll go in the same order. So, Tori, what's your number 6?
The Exorcist, 1973.
Oh, the original. Okay.
That one I saw at a young age too, a very young age, actually.
That's not good. Fair enough. I was hoping you were going to say Exorcist 3, but we'll forgive you.
I actually saw The Exorcist 3 for the first time this year, and like I fell in love with it. I was like told not to watch it because it was terrible, and I hate when people do that. But when I saw it, I really loved The Exorcist 3. I think it's a great sequel to The Exorcist, but I actually was not allowed to watch The Exorcist until I spent the night at my sister's house, and she was like, "Don't tell Mom, but we're gonna watch The Exorcist." And I don't know why, but like I laughed at some parts. I was a really screwed up child. But like I love the story. It's just so like it's truly scary. It's like definitely a scary movie. It didn't scare me, but it like just really kept me engaged. I was just like, it was something like I've never seen anything like it, is what I'm trying to say. It's
yeah. Oh, very
it was different from what I was watching. Let's just say that.
Definitely. If this is about that time that my head spun around 360 degrees and I vomited green slime, it was my first keg party, Tori.
Love it.
If nothing else, we got some great parodies off the back of The Exorcist. Yeah. It's one of those things as well. Yeah, definitely, yeah. But yeah, if you haven't seen like documentaries and stuff about that film, it's fascinating how many people like had heart attacks and stuff in the cinema and had to get treatment during the viewing.
Right?
There's like some stuff on YouTube, like some footage of people just coming out of it and just talking about it. It's pretty crazy. People fainting.
I think part of that is the subliminal images, because that does kind of get you, but yeah. So it's the scary movie.
The song is so good. I absolutely love
the score,
that.
The tubular bells, definitely.
Bells. Oh, man, the iconic image of the priest dude like pulling up the house is so good. I love that movie, Tori. Yeah.
So it's very atmospheric too, especially that part with the fog and he's just standing there.
Me and my girlfriend just always mess around, like just with each other, like if you don't stop, Captain Howdy's gonna get you.
That's mean.
That's funny. Dude. I love that movie. It's so good.
Well, that got 15 points anyway. Not that we're going to struggle anyway, like I said, to make a list, but we'll see what we can do. But what was your, Fred, number, where are we? 6?
6. All right, I'm not sure if anybody's heard this one. It's called Pontypool.
I love that movie.
2008.
Amazing film.
Yeah, that is a really good take on like zombies and like infection and stuff like that. Very unique how the virus is spread through alphabet, like words. But if people aren't familiar, it's just about this disc jockey. He's just doing his job one morning, and just reports are being called in about like this virus turning people mad and all this stuff. And it's just the way we find out exactly what this virus is and how it's spread is what makes this movie so unique.
Okay. I'm the only one that hasn't seen it again, obviously.
Oh, yeah, it's so great.
Cool.
It's so good, man.
Okay, cool. What a weird title, Pontypool or something, did you say? Oh.
Yeah, Pontypool.
Oh,
which I believe it takes place in Canada somewhere. So it could be a Canadian city for all I know.
Yeah, that's cool.
I didn't watch it for the longest time because I thought it was some kind of low budget Welsh flick.
I was just going to say, it sounds incredibly Welsh, doesn't it? Yeah.
I randomly just stumbled across it and then like just was so hooked from like the opening where you just have like this visual radio waves of somebody talking, like like the audio frequencies of going up and down of somebody just talking, and then you just little by little you start being pulled into this story about this small little town, and people are just starting to act very weird and as to why they're acting weird.
Cool. I like anything like that, anything like the birds or zombie outbreaks and stuff. So another one for the list, which is now growing all the more. So DK, then what is your number 6 movie?
Okay, buckle in. I mean, there's a lot of people going to hate me for this, considering.
Is it Howard the Duck?
No, we've had that one already. It's Birdemic. No, it's not Birdemic. Right, it's Halloween 3.
I would.
Yeah, I almost put that on. I almost put that on the list.
I almost put that as well.
I love that movie.
It's awesome. BBC used to show an edited version late at night every couple of years, and it just wormed its way into my heart. Connell
I love that
Coughlin's plan for vengeance was batshit crazy, but damn it, if Dan O'Herlihy didn't make it one of his career best performances, I mean, couple that with Tom Atkins, his horn dog best. Script by Tommy Lee Wallace, Carpenter, and Nigel Neal. It's crazy. It's fun. I mean, it's got some shocking scenes, that misfire, and I defy anyone to not have that Silver Shamrock jingle burned into the mind seconds after hearing it.
Halloween.
Exactly. Our house is a Halloween 3 house, and we watch it every single year without fail. Love it.
Any idea? Sorry, how excited I was when those 3 masks appeared in Halloween Kills. Even though it's the slightest Easter egg, I was like, "Yay! A call back to Halloween 3."
That was one of the things I love so much about Halloween Kills.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. Well, same page, Tori. Definitely. Yeah. Awesome. Again, yeah. Sorry, interrupted you. What were you going to say about Halloween 3?
Said everything I wanted.
Okay, cool.
I've dropped the mic, mate.
Okay. Well, no, I'm definitely with you, and it sounds like Tori is as well. So, yeah, I love Halloween 3. We were discussing this with my mum earlier today because I asked her for a list, which I happen to have, and she said, "Oh, even though nobody else likes it, I'd put Halloween 3 on my list." I was like, "It's going through a complete reassessment." I would say these days, you'd be surprised how many people fully admit to loving it now.
Yeah, a lot of people love it.
Awesome.
I love that. Like you said, I love that misfire scene, man.
Mm.
It's so good. Her face, how it just looks afterwards, and the bugs. Oh,
see, I didn't know at the time, but that was actually Tom Atkins' wife at the time.
Oh wow!
So she's getting her face blown off, and he's having sex with Stacey Nelkin in the next room.
That's crazy.
That's so messed up to think about.
Yeah, I can't fault that, DK. After you thinking everyone was going to shit on you, turns out we all like it. So.
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's awesome.
My number 6 we've already talked about. It is, of course, Wreck, which I also love. Again, I was debating so much because I didn't want to put sequels and stuff. And I think in the past I may have said that I preferred Wreck 2 because of how cool it does the thing where it uses sort of body cams to do the found footage thing and how it immediately like full circle ties into the first movie. But basically, because it can't exist without the first movie, I was like, well, you have to put that first movie. And the ending of the first movie is for me just sublime because it turns it from a zombie movie into something very different and way freakier and scarier. And
that's what I enjoy over Quarantine. Like the ending.
Yeah,
they imply with Quarantine versus Wreck. I love that, like just demon stuff or whatever they're implying.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And the effects on whatever that demon woman thing is just absolutely terrifying. Some great jump scares. Yeah.
It terrified me so bad when I saw Wreck.
Yeah, I remember thinking I was very close to being terrified, but thankfully I was of an age not to be overly, but still a couple of the jump scares and things really got me. And but again, I like all the Wreck films. The first 2 are the ones I would say are great. 3 I love just because it's fun. In that kind of dumb fun way, like people fighting off zombies at a wedding. 4's the weakest in my opinion, but it's still fine. So yeah, Wreck is my first 2. Yeah. Okay, I definitely recommend seeing Wreck 3 Genesis at the very least because, like I said, it's just fun. Anyway, but yeah, I love Wreck. I love, like I said, we've already touched on it, but I love what it does with found footage. I love that it starts off seeming like a boring Spanish news report and then shit hits the fan. And cool. Just very well done zombie movie. And at the end, even creepier demon movie. So that's my number 6. So then, Tori, we're back to you. What is your number 5 movie?
I don't know how anybody would feel about this. I know this is like hit or miss with a lot of horror fans, but Hostel 2006.
Okay. I liked it a lot the first time I saw it, but I think I just gradually went off it for some reason.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan. I'm more of a fan of Hostel 2, actually.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I kind of like the second one a little bit more, but that first one just so intense.
Oh, it's so good. And I think I saw it for the first time last year, and I think what got me into it is I listened to Ice Nine Kills, and they did a song about Hostel, and I was like, I've never seen this movie. I've been meaning to watch it, and then I watch it, and it's really different. You have these guys who are backpacking through Europe, and they decide to go to Bratislava.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't go there because you're going to be tortured. And I think it was loosely based on, you know, something that actually goes on in Thailand, but like I'm not sure.
I heard that, yeah.
It's just like really realistic and gory, and that whole scene with like the eye. I don't know, like if you guys have seen that with the, you know, the eye hanging out and he has to cut it. Oh my god!
The eyegasm scene, as it's called. Yeah.
It's like, this is incredible. Definitely in my top favorites. I love that movie.
Awesome. Yeah, that's again. I remember watching it and liking it the first time, but then I gradually just kind of went off torture porn, I suppose you would call it, and it dropped a little bit in my estimation. But yeah, the eyegasm scene as well, I couldn't watch more than once because it's so realistic and disturbing and bizarre. So, yeah. Awesome.
The ending kind of gets you.
Yeah, I guess it's surprisingly dank and but again, I sometimes like that in horror movies, but
yeah, definitely.
I don't have any of Eli Roth's movies, the director, on my list, but if I was going to, it would probably be Cabin Fever over Hostel. But yeah.
That's another one I forgot to put on my list.
Oh, never. I debated back and forth, and again, it would probably be in my top 30 if I was to make one, but yeah.
I love the top of that movie.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But avoid all the
party guy.
How many big parties we're gonna have?
That movie is so weird, man. I love the ending though. That is such a good ending. The ending reminds me almost of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, it does. It's when they're piling up the bodies and burning them. Like
that one dude's like, "I made it. I fucking made."
Anyway, Fred, what was your number 5 movie then?
All right. This is a found footage mockumentary movie called Savage Land. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with it.
Never heard of it. Sorry.
I watched it a couple of weeks ago and it didn't click with me at all.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think it's just the mood I was in, and
okay. Right. So what's it about then?
It's basically about this zombie invasion, but the way it's told is what I really enjoyed. It's a mockumentary, and it's told through form of interviews and pictures, because the one survivor is currently locked up, and he's being held for possibly murdering this entire town that just got wiped out overnight. But we find out through pictures that it could have been something else, and he was taking pictures throughout the whole night. And you find out it's a zombie invasion, but the way it's told, it's just very eerie. You have all these stills of what appears to be human shaped people, but then the faces are so blurry because he was running, but you're not sure if it's actual humans or if it's something else. It's just a story of this guy's adventure from when the first incident happened all the way to when he finally made it out of town.
Awesome. That sounds really good. I'm sensing a theme in a lot of your picks that you enjoy zombie movies, found footage, and invasions of places.
Well, found footage is definitely one of my, if not my favorite genre for sure. But I didn't want to put too many found footage movies, so I just tried to put a couple.
No, that's obviously why you've seen Host though as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved Host for sure.
Cool.
And then
that sounds good.
The guy that made Host came out with a new one too called Dashcam, which is an absolutely wild movie.
Okay, I'm writing that down.
I've been needing to see that one too.
Yeah. Just absolute. It's all told in this a format of a live stream.
Nice.
You're told that you're watching a Twitch stream, and it just gets so wild.
Oh, I love anything like that. What they call screen life movie. It's technically not.
It's subgenres of found footage screen life.
Yeah,
I think that's why I love that movie Spree.
Oh, that's one I need to watch.
No, never heard of it.
But yeah, that was it.
That still that he took where the kids at the railings.
Yeah, that was one of the last ones.
Yeah, that was unsettling.
Yeah, it was, especially when you find out he was just friends with the kids, and his whole mission was trying to get to that kid and make sure that the family was okay and the kid was okay.
So yeah, we're up to your number 5 then. DK, what's yours?
I'm going to go with the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, nice.
Well, it was on my top 20, so I can't fault you for that.
I mean, technically, I think the third entry is the better one, and it was a close thing between that and this, but I've got to give it to this one. Not only is it one of my most rewatched, but technically it's the first horror movie I watched. after inadvertently walking into the living room and being traumatized by my parents watching American Werewolf at an early age, it took me a little while to come around to the genre. But when I did, it was because of this movie. My parents had loaned it from the video store on Betamax, no less. Ask your parents' kids. I snuck downstairs early one morning while they were asleep to watch, and my life was changed. And, you know, you've got to give Robert Englund props for making a damn child killer so marketable.
I mean, yeah, basically.
Absolutely.
That's why I think I like the first one more than the sequels, because for me, he got a little bit too stand-up comedian by the sort of fifth and sixth movies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I see what you mean. 3 is very good. It's a close second, I think. But I think the first one just does much cooler stuff. Awesome. Yeah, well, you know I like it. So
Yeah.
that's all. Where was I? So we're up to my number 5. My number 5 is The Cabin in the Woods. Which I
right on.
just
Very good
adore.
one.
Yeah. I just love how, again, it's meta humor, and it kind of encompasses a lot of other sort of films and genres that I like all at once. Again, it's going to be kind of impossible to talk too much about it without spoilers, but it's just so clever. I'm always a sucker for anything like that. And then all of the random Easter eggs and cameos, and the fact that you can pause and spot various different things and see how they line up with things mentioned in previous scenes. And it's a love letter to horror in a cool way. And it also still has a couple of just brilliant jump scares or shock moments, or the moment when Chris Hemsworth thinks he's going to escape. It's just
Dude,
the greatest.
yeah. Oh man, dude.
Yeah.
That was so messed up the first time I watched it. I think I was just jaw dropped. I just couldn't believe that they did that. I was like, what?
I think that was the same. Yeah. I just genuinely didn't know whether to scream or laugh, and in the end, I think I just burst out laughing, just like, what just happened? But yeah,
so messed up.
It's so good, and again, a brilliant cast, obviously. I just love that movie. I think it's really, really good, and very rewatchable as well, I think. So, and again, the ending not without wanting to give too much away. I'm a sucker for kind of endings that aren't just bright, happy, everybody's fine. And
I agree.
Was very what? So awesome, cool. So we're back to you, Tori, again. And what is your number 4 movie as we rapidly approach the number 1s?
And this one, I believe, one of you guys mentioned on your list, Scream 1996. It's
Yes,
so good. It's the second horror film I ever watched. I watched Night of the Living Dead first, but this is the film that really, really, really got me into horror. It was like my first like entry into loving the genre.
Awesome. That's
and it got me like I need to see Halloween. Like I saw like all the horror movie references. I was like, okay, I need to see this. I need to see that. It just started the whole horror craze.
You should know that Jason's mother was the original killer. Jason didn't show up till the sequel. Yes.
I was like, wow. I was like, now I need to see the Friday the 13th.
So yeah, it's weird that we both have that as our sort of big entryway into horror, since it's almost reliant on knowing horror for the tropes, but we both appreciate it anyway. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Such a good cast and everything. So what is your number 4 then, Fred?
All right. I believe this was already brought up, The Shining.
Yes, that was on my list as well.
Yeah,
it was my number 15.
Yeah, this is such a great movie. I think just from the opening scene, you have that song, and you have that really great shot of zooming into the car, and it's just kind of setting the mood for how the movie's gonna be. Their trip to the freaking Overlook Hotel or whatever. I saw this. I saw bits and parts as a kid, and it freaked me out. But the one part that confused me was the part where you see like the guy in the bear suit. Or the pig suit.
Oh yeah,
I don't know why that always just like as a kid that was just so bizarre. Something that was just so like what my mind couldn't wrap around. Like what it was just so like I just couldn't get over it. And then I finally saw it as an adult and just like appreciate this movie a lot more. I just absolutely love that movie. Everything about it. Jack Nicholson. One of the scariest parts is just freaking the way, or the descent into his just madness and him just going, like when he's holding his son and he's just like, "I'll never hurt you," you know that.
I'm not
the
gonna hurt
music
you.
in the
I won't hurt you.
background.
I'm just gonna bash your fucking brains in.
Oh man, I love it.
I'm gonna bash him
Yeah.
right the fuck in.
I love it. Yeah, and
Plus,
please,
Kubrick like traumatized freaking what's her name?
Oh, I know that is
Yeah,
so
so
horrendous.
bad.
Yeah.
I just found
That's
out
like
about
one
that.
thing about I feel bad about liking this movie because he was just
I mean,
an ass. I don't know.
There's a lot of separating art from artist because apparently Hitchcock was very similar in treating his actresses in the movies. But
Really?
Yeah, I heard about that too.
Oh,
terrible.
man.
Yeah,
Apparently, Tippi Hedren was treated abysmally.
yeah. So
I
I've
think
heard.
I heard a little bit about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, undeniably great art, but I'm certainly not endorsing the actions to get there. But no, I'm pleased that you mentioned in terms of, because I always forget to say about that it was kind of weirdly revolutionary that it does that complete one shot as it follows the tricycle through all the hallways
Yeah,
of
it's
the hotel.
it's so long too. It's just
Yeah.
and you just hear the sound design on that one. The whole scene is so good. It's going from like the rug to like the hardwood floor, the rug, the hardwood floor, and it's just following him on like on a dolly or whatever. It's everything.
Yeah. And it's another one of those films where everything surrounding the film is almost as fascinating. So again, there's everything from the moon landing conspiracy based on this movie.
Yeah, it's supposed to
Yeah.
be that he directed that moon landing, right?
Yeah, because there's a scene where young Danny wears a t-shirt with, a jumper with Apollo 11 rocket on it. And people are, oh, it's Kubrick telling us he directed the movie. He didn't. They went to the moon.
Yeah.
But no, the making of the behind the scenes, I think Vivian Kubrick filmed a lot of that stuff, his daughter. And it tends to be on the sort of releases of the home videos, and it's very good. And yes, this is the standard mention if anybody's wanting it. Yes, I know it also appears in Ready Player One, not the book, but it's in the film, which was kind of weird. But ultimately, I have to say the greatest takeoff of The Shining still remains the shinning from The Simpsons. Absolutely untouchably brilliant. Do you like it, Marge? I think I'll call it No TV and No Beer Make Homer something something. Go crazy? Don't mind if I do.
I do.
Tell you what, Smithers, we come back and everyone's dead. I owe you a cook. It's just so good. You mean The Shining? Shh, do you want to get sued?
Yeah, the shit.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we've talked a lot about that, but it's a good movie. Like I said, it was perhaps a bit low down on my list, but I was just pleased to have it in there. And again, watch Doctor Sleep if you haven't. So that is your number 4. DK, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the original Fright Night.
Oh,
Just come up as well before. So
Yeah, I grew up with this. It's a comfort movie for me. No matter what's going on, always makes me feel better. And presence of Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent makes it doubly comforting. I just love that guy. So to me, it's icing on the cake. Chris Sarandon's fantastic. I was given the special edition Blu-ray last Christmas, and we've got a thing in our house where any movies bought over the holidays, the names dropped into a hat, and we pull out the random movie, and everyone's got to watch. No exceptions, no complaining. I was thrilled when Fright Night was drawn. I loved movie night that day. Rest of the family, not so much.
I've got so many films I'm going to send you next.
Yeah,
the next holiday.
I much prefer it to the remake. I didn't hate the remake, but it just doesn't come close to this one, in my opinion. Technically, it's not perfect, and you can see at some points it's held together with some rather shoddy glue, but I just love it. It's home to me.
Yeah, cool.
I definitely get how you feel there.
Yeah.
I just watched the remake recently too, and it was okay, I guess. But ultimately, yeah, Fright Night's just so much. It's great.
Yeah, that was a good number 4, Fright Night, because you had that in common with Tori, so that places it on 25 points and probably a strong contender to make the top 10 list. My number 4 is a Japanese horror film, which you'll all be familiar with, I'm sure, called Ju-on the Grudge, which I love so much. It was remade in the West.
I've only seen the remake.
Same here. I've been meaning to see the other.
The remake is so neutered and so bloody. It's doubly frustrating because anybody who knows me knows that I would crawl over broken glass for Sarah Michelle Gellar most of the time, but yeah, just no. No. I can't get over how the original, again, I don't want to spoil too much, but the original is so much creepier, so much more inventive with its hauntings and stuff. The atmosphere is truly scary. It's very much like a ghost story. And yeah, they take all of that out of the remake in favor of, kitchen sink drama and jump scares. But yeah, not a fan of the remake as such. But yeah, the original, one of the first kind of foreign horror movies I've ever seen and just truly loved. The villain in it, Kayako, is just terrifying, very well played. And again, as you mentioned earlier, like sound design, the fact that as she haunts you, she basically makes this kind of sound of like, I can't do it, but because she's got like a broken neck, so it's kind of like, and you hear that and you're terrified. Or the fact that the little boy and the cat were both kind of murdered together. They were drowned together, so the little boy opens his mouth and a cat's meow comes out of it. It's just like, whoa. But yeah, again, watch that. Don't watch the remake. And I will say, Ju-on The Grudge 2 is a complete head trip, but it's another very good movie, the Japanese sequel. So if you get a chance, watch that as well.
All right, yeah, I'll have to check out the originals for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love Japanese horror. So, yeah, that was my number 4 then, Ju-on. So we're on to number 3s. Number 3 then, Tori, if you don't mind.
This was on somebody else's list. I forget who, but Halloween 3, 1983.
Oh,
Yes.
well, no,
That was DK's list.
Oh yeah, but I love it. It just encompasses the spirit of Halloween, the feeling of Halloween when you watch it. It just gets you into the Halloween spirit.
Yeah, Halloween 3, very good movie. So that would give it, what, like 18 points if it's your number 3? So you clearly really love it. So yeah, a little bit. Why do you love the movie then, Tori?
I just love the atmosphere. I love how creative and different it is. It's really an original idea for a story. Like you have these Halloween masks that, you put them on and you like look at the TV when the commercial comes on, and it's something to do with like Stonehenge or something. They have like a little piece of like Stonehenge fragment.
It's the whole Samhain pagan ritual kind of connection to Halloween, isn't it? So
exactly. And I'm actually a Wiccan, so like it really resonated. I was like, this is really cool, like how they went about this, and I love it. I love how they brought like sci-fi and witchcraft into it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it does better than Halloween 6 when it attempts to do that, but yeah, anyway.
Oh yeah.
Do you excuse me a second?
Yeah.
Stop it! Stop it!
Look at the TV, DK. Yeah, that's probably as much as I'll get away with for copyright. Awesome. Yeah, that's a good movie. I think I'm pleased that it's coming. Like I said, having a bit of a reappraisal and people are realizing it's not bad at all. I think it was just that audiences at the time really were just like, "Where's Michael Myers?"
Yeah, and I always explain to people it was originally supposed to be like an anthology film series. He was going to do something different, and I guess people were just mad.
Yeah, exactly. So then it just became Return of Michael Myers, and that was, where they went. But
Exactly.
Cool. So we're on number 3, aren't we? So yeah, what's your number 3, Fred?
All right, my number 3 is gonna be Silence of the Lambs.
I've never seen that movie.
You're with me. It is a horror movie.
Yeah, this is one of those where it kind of goes between, is it a horror movie or not? I will consider it a horror movie for sure.
I definitely would.
Yeah, just everything about this movie it's so elegant, is like a good way to put it, for a good portion of when Hannibal Lecter's on there, and then when you start getting towards the Buffalo Bill stuff, it goes back and forth between like elegant and just fucking weird and just raunchy and just, I don't know, all that stuff where like in his basement when he's keeping the girl, it just it puts the lotion on the skin. It gets it's fun to laugh at, but like the first time I ever saw that was just so freaking weird. When he kidnaps the girls, like one of the scariest parts in my opinion, because he's like pretending. Yeah,
would you fuck me?
No.
I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard.
Might, but
sorry, I could not resist.
No, you're good.
Sorry,
you're good. But like,
even
when he kidnaps the girl the first time, he's like pretending to be handicapped, like his arm's broken, and he needs help moving the furniture. And she's like, "Okay, I'll come help you." And then he just freaking bashes her head in and just throws her in the van and just kidding. I'm just like, "Oh man, this is fucking intense." And on top of that, Hannibal Lecter, just one of the best villains out there. One of the most just, I don't know, recognizable faces in horror too.
I still think Brian Cox's version from Manhunter is underrated.
That's the only one I haven't seen.
Ah,
Is
amazing.
Manhunter.
Amazing film.
It's so good.
Did you like the TV show?
No, I didn't ever see the TV show. No,
I've not seen it.
Dude, it's great. I absolutely
Good
love
things.
it. Really good.
Okay.
Really good. Mads Mikkelsen is probably my favorite Hannibal Lecter, to be honest.
He's a great actor. I can kind of see that. Yeah.
No, yeah, he just does a really great role in that.
Awesome. That's cool. I have a really funny story, which, again, sorry if you already know this, but I always found it amusing. I don't know if anybody here watches Family Guy, but I don't know if you're aware that Seth Green, when he was asked to voice Chris, was really struggling to find a voice for Chris. And then when he was talking to Seth MacFarlane one day, he did his impression of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. And Seth
Really?
MacFarlane was like, that's the Chris voice right there.
No way.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, Chris from Family Guy is based on Buffalo Bill. It's Seth Green's impression, which is why he kind of talks
interesting.
sort of like that, you know.
One little fact to know.
Yeah, so weird, but cool. Awesome. So we're on number 3, aren't we? And I've got so many numbers in my head. I'm sorry. DK, what's your number 3 movie?
Okay, number 3 for me is Day of the Dead.
Oh,
Yeah, I know just about everyone seems to prefer Dawn, but while I do agree it's the top movie, I've got to include Day over that because to me it's Romero's masterpiece. I know it's not how he wanted it to go, and a lot of compromises had to be made, but there's not a single frame of this movie I don't love. From that opening scene to the room, in that room with the calendar, it just grips you and does not let go. First saw this when I was about 11 or 12, watched it with friends who managed to hire a copy while their parents were away. We all sat and watched while eating fries covered in ketchup. While I thought the concept of zombies cool, I'd never seen a zombie movie until this one, and I just love everything about it. The soundtrack by John Harrison, which shouldn't work because of the flavor of the melodies, does. I mean, soundtrack for this was my holy grail back during high school, but it had been discontinued on vinyl. This was actually before CDs. It's claustrophobic, gory, plays on the worst aspects of humanity, and yet has an actual zombie, Bub, extolling the best of humanity. I don't think another zombie flick comes close for me. It's pure class.
Bub is the hero we needed.
Exactly.
It's the first time I've heard that, but okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'm very much of the camp that I think it's my least favorite of Romero's movies, but that's just because I don't think I was ready for the tonal kind of change and everything of it. But I get what you're saying. It is still satirically, making fun of that. But okay, awesome. So we're on to number 2 then, and we'll go to you, Tori. What's your number 2?
My number 2 would have to be the original Candyman.
Oh, Tony Todd for the win.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you like about Candyman? Not that we don't know because it's
I love Tony Todd's performance. It's just all out of the water, just amazing. I love how it kind of plays on the Bloody Mary urban legend a little bit, and I love Clive Barker's story. So this is one of my favorites, and it's just really scary. The situation that Helen is in, she's all these people are being murdered around her, and they think she's doing it, even though it's actually Candyman. It's so terrible.
The score is so good in that movie too.
Oh, that was my ringtone for a long time.
I love
cool.
that opening shot is great too. Oh man, Candyman's fun.
Remind me, what film was that, Tori? Sorry, because I'm writing these down.
Candyman.
Sorry, I didn't hear you there. What was that?
Candyman.
Sorry?
Oh my God, no! How did I not catch that? And
that was good.
My brother used to scare me. He used to lock me in a room with a mirror and be saying it. I'm like, just let me out. And I would crawl under the bed. I would be so scared.
That was my full-on going Beetlejuice moment there. Sorry.
That was good. That was a good one. Almost walked right into that one.
I feel real bad tricking you with it, but at the same time, amusing, But yeah, Candyman, great movie. And that's Virginia Madsen as well, isn't it, in that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good in that, yeah. I even like the sequels. Farewell to the Flesh is, again, very underrated.
Underrated, yep, agreed. The third one, I don't know, but the second one...
Yeah.
I've never seen the sequels.
Yeah, I think the second one's worth checking out.
Yeah.
I love the new one, too.
Oh, I still haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that yet.
It's so good. It's like a kind of acts as a direct sequel to the original.
Oh, okay. It did seem that way from the trailer, and I was keen to see it. And then I think it came to our local cinema for like a week and a half, and then it wasn't on anymore. So never got a chance to get around to watching it, but we'll do one day, especially probably before the Marvels, because that's Nia DaCosta, isn't it? The same director, so makes more sense that way. We haven't done our number threes, have we? Or did I not give my number 3?
Did you?
I didn't, did I?
Didn't you?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
What was your number
seeing
3?
it. My number 3 was Scream.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we didn't do that. All right,
sorry, I skipped straight from DK. Sorry about that, dude. But yeah, I'll just get this.
No, you're good.
Then. So yeah, my number 3, which would be 18 points for me, was Scream, the original, for all the reasons that I mentioned already when we were talking about it when it was on Tori's list. Basically, yeah, same. It was the film that got me obsessed with horror and loving it like any other genre. I loved all the references, loved the acting in it, and again, Wes Craven, such a good director. You know, the cool little touch like him appearing in the original Freddy Krueger outfit as the school janitor, little moments like that, and the Fonz going uncredited so that you can get a nice surprise when he appears in the movie. It's cool. And again, soundtrack, very good. So yeah, I'll move on from that. But yeah, Scream was my number 3. Apologies, we skipped over it to get to Tori's 2, but I will get to my 2.
I love the
right
soundtrack
place.
in Scream.
Yeah.
I do want to say that the music choices, there's like that one thing when everybody's closing up and locking up.
Red Right Hand, isn't it?
Yeah, Nick Cave.
And then like the song comes in, it's so good, man. That Scream did a really good job with their music for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I should say as well that I think Scream is one of very few franchises that I don't think has put out an actual bad movie. There is a worst one, 3, but I don't think any of them are bad.
I could agree with that.
I agree too.
Awesome. Cool. Right. So sorry, Fred, I interrupted you there. What was your number 2?
No, you're fine. All right. So number 2 is going to be Killer Clowns from Outer Space, man.
DK loves you as well.
I remember I saw this as a kid and just was confused. I was like, what is this? Because I wasn't too into horror. And then there was like a scene where he was doing the puppet thing. And he's like doing the shadow puppets and he eats them. And I think I just changed the channel after that. I was kind of like freaked out. I was like, no. But I watched it later on in life. And like when I was watching it later in life, you ever like watch something and all of a sudden you have like this random memory kick in of like being young? And I just remembered like that happening. I'm like, oh, I remember this freaking movie when I was a kid. And I never watched it. And it's such a fun movie. I can watch it multiple times every year. Like it's not an issue. Just so much fun. That's like the best way I can do it. Just so cheesy, just straight up 80s cheese, campy. I mean, the movie's about killer clowns from outer space. Like, that's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite, if not one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, DK, what's your number 2 film then?
Right, number 2, many would consider this sci-fi, but to me, this is horror, and I'm going to go with Ridley Scott's Alien.
Nice.
So that you picked that, as you'll see in a minute. But yeah, why would you pick the inferior Alien movie?
Oh man, that's fighting talk. It's got some wicked jump scares, some genuinely unsettling scenes. I mean, I would love to have been in a cinema when this was released and see people's reactions to the chest burster. It's got such a feeling of tension throughout. The sequence where they're trying to escape aboard the Narcissus is edge of your seat stuff every time, and you still root for some of the others to make it, even though you know it's not going to happen. It's been imitated ad infinitum since its release, but nothing comes close to the sheer terror for me that this one evokes. And as an aside, if you're an Alien fan and you haven't played it, I recommend playing Alien Isolation. I played it only a year ago, and if you were ever in doubt that the premise is one of horror, that will relieve you of said doubts.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've heard about the game being pretty good. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Oh, they're definitely horror. I mean, they're sci-fi horror, but they're still horror. I like Alien. I just think it's the inferior movie to my number 2, weirdly enough, which is Aliens, the better film.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a weird bit of unplanned symmetry, actually. But
Yeah.
Again, I class these films, all the Alien films, as horror as much as they are sci-fi, because they're about monsters and they're scary and killings and grossness and such. But I will always go to bat for James Cameron. I am the absolute James Cameron stan. The Terminator movies, Aliens, even Avatar, Titanic, Piranha 2. Okay. Yeah. So I love Aliens. I think the fact that it takes what the first movie tried to do and ramps it up to 11. It's a war movie. It's a personal thing. It deals with metaphors of everything from the military complex to motherhood. It invented the alien queen, which the first movie was, completely do without. Like the first scene had a cutscene where the victims were going to be seen mutating into the alien eggs, which I'm so glad it didn't do that, because then we wouldn't have an alien queen, and that's stupid. But yeah, and I just think every scene is iconic and really cool. It's brilliant direction. It's Sigourney Weaver's finest hour in the franchise, which probably isn't saying much. And yeah, maybe it's not quite as haunted house or tense at times, but I think there are some key moments, particularly being locked in with the facehugger and stuff. But yeah, I would rave for hours about this film if I could. My number 2 was definitely Aliens. So, DK, this is your chance to answer back.
I have no interest in your opinion.
You have no interest? How very dare you? What, did everybody just become really stupid while I was away? Did IQs sharply drop? What's going on? Anyway, yeah, so that takes us to our number 1s then, which is a pretty big moment. So for the full 20 points, your greatest horror movie of all time, what is your number 1? Tori, we'll come to you first.
Halloween 2, 1981.
Wow. Okay. That is...
How you guys would feel about that?
Okay. Halloween 2 particularly is a very specific choice. Okay. Go for it.
Yeah, it's great. I love the hospital atmosphere, it takes place right when the first one left off, which I thought was pretty cool, and the kills in it are just really creative. Michael Myers kills people in very creative ways, in very different ways than just stabbing him with the butcher knife. I thought it was really, really awesome. It has one of my favorite actors in it too, from The Last Starfighter. I know, Fred, didn't you watch that recently?
Yeah, I just watched that. That dude is in it.
Yeah, he plays the paramedic, and he does such a good job. There's actually an alternate ending where he survived.
Okay. Wow.
So in my head canon, he lives.
The ending of that film's weird though, because you kind of have to disregard it, because doesn't it basically end with Loomis and Myers finally dead? It's just
and that's weird because they kind of bring him back in part 4, but you would think he's more burned than he is, because only part of his face is messed up and he has a limp.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, but I do like Halloween 2. It's as you say, it was very clever. I don't know if it was the first time they'd done that, literally picking up where the first film left off and leading into it. But yeah,
and I love the music score, when he's walking down the hallways, that eeriness.
Oh, that John Carpenter score from the Halloween movies is just so good. But yeah,
good.
Cool. Anything else about Halloween 2 then?
I will say it's probably one of my favorite comfort horror movies. I can actually watch it at any time and not get bored with it. I actually had really bad anxiety the other night and put that on, and I was just calm.
And you were somebody almost blowing up by a gas leak. Nice and calm. Very much.
It's
have you ever done
that movie on?
Absolutely. Have you ever done that cool thing where you watch literally 1 and 2 back to back as if it was one long night?
Oh yes, I love doing that. It's so much fun, watching it as a double feature, and I would love to have a version where they're both combined.
Yeah, you'd think somebody would have edited it into something like that by now, because you could even just cut the ending off and not have that they died but now they're back somehow. You could edit it into something. But anyway, I'm coming up with random things that will never exist.
I just love the beginning too, with the when the pumpkin opening and you see the skull in it.
I love the title sequences of all the Halloweens pretty much are good. Imagine stuff like that. So out of curiosity, then why did you pick Halloween 2 over Halloween 1?
I'm not sure. I think it's because all of the different creative kills in it, the part with the syringe when he injects just basically air into her eye, and it some air bubble pops into her eye and it pops into her brain, and she just drops dead. I thought
very relaxing when you're feeling anxious, I'm sure.
And I'm just the whole part where he gets shot in the eyes and he's just blood pooling out of his eyes, and he's trying to hack at Laurie still, and he can't see, but he doesn't care.
Yeah, definitely.
It's amazing.
slight spoiler alert for a like 5-year-old movie, but were you annoyed when they retconned the whole her being his sister thing in the new Halloween then in 2018?
At first, I was like, "That's kind of weird," but then I was like thinking of it more as like an alternate universe type thing.
Yeah, there's so many branching timelines because like H2O keeps that intact and only classes 1 and 2 as canon, and then 2018 disregards everything except the first movie, and yeah, it's so weird. It's the Terminator franchise of horror, isn't it?
Definitely. Like, I like to think of it as like an alternate universe, so it doesn't like make me too mad.
Fair enough. That's cool. Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah. So Halloween 2 gets the full 20 points, and your number 1 spot. Fred, what is your favorite horror movie of all time?
I'm gonna go with John Carpenter's The Thing.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I watch this one just so often, and this is one I consider just comfort because a lot of that cinematography from Dean Cudney, I believe, just makes it so fucking beautiful to look at. The story is, I think it's like a reimagining from the Howard Hawks one or something.
The Thing from Another World.
Yeah, that, which is like still off of story, a Lovecraft story or whatever. But I mean, what hasn't been said about The Thing that I can just not say, you know?
Well, you'll find out. You could watch our 2-hour-long review of The Thing.
Gushing.
Yeah, there you go.
More or less.
I just find it a perfect movie, man. I think everything from like the whole like just paranoia aspect, the freaking creature effects and everything. The only thing I dislike is when they shoot the dogs, man. That's like the one thing I really just hate in that freaking movie.
I mean, wouldn't you if it was one of them?
I know. I just hate that.
How about
that? I hate that they show that. Like they straight up show it, like the dog's getting shot.
I go to doesthedogdie.com before I watch anything.
I love that.
But I mean, the ending to this movie is just perfect too. You just sit there wondering what's gonna happen, and what just them two just sitting there. Is one of them The Thing still? I don't know. It's just a great movie. I think.
I agree. I love that.
Always just watch it over and over.
It's in my top 50s for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So that's a sequel to a John Carpenter movie and a remake by John Carpenter. DK, what's your number 1 film out of curiosity?
Okay, my number 1 is The Shining.
Oh
wow! Okay,
was not expecting that. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Kubrick. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Kubrick as both a director and a human being. He's never appealed to me. Quite the opposite, in fact. And yet, despite being a diehard King fan, I do side with Kubrick on this one. Shining, it's a thing of beauty from beginning to end. The casting is perfection. Despite the vile way Shelley Duvall was reportedly treated during filming, I mean, kudos to her for putting up with that shit. That sorry episode aside, performances are spot on, the scripting's tight, the cinematography and set design are unforgettable, and the score by Wendy Carlos is as evocative and memorable to me as John Williams' theme from Jaws. I've seen it more times than I can count, but whereas many on this list are no longer scary, Shining repeatedly instills in me a sense of uneasiness. I still find myself urging characters on screen to not do what they're about to and being genuinely unsettled at events as they unfold. So, Danny, please stay the hell out of room 237.
Cool. Yeah, I'm surprised because you didn't mention anything when we had it on our lists, but awesome. Have you, out of curiosity, read the book?
I have, but it was years ago when I was at school, and it is quite different.
Yeah, I still think the book's better personally. Not that I dislike the movie. Obviously, it was on my list and everything, but I still think the book is just a next level experience.
Yeah.
Again, which is weird because then I think the exact opposite with Dr. Sleep. The book was terrible and the film was great. So well, there we go. Awesome, cool. Well, does everyone want to hear my number 1? Then, or shall we just skip it? Because I think we all know what it's going to be, don't we?
I know what it's going to be for sure.
My number 1 is John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978.
Nice.
I adore this movie. I can't explain it. It was, even though Scream was the first thing that I thought got me into like horror as a genre, I'd already been watching Halloween from a very young age because my mum was obsessed with it. She used to watch it on like video and DVD.
That's awesome.
here in the UK, it's on almost every Halloween night because somebody at the BBC just thinks Halloween, that'll do. It's some genius scheduler is just like, well, yeah, it's Halloween. Let's put Halloween on. So I'd watched it so many times on like TV and stuff, and I think I got away with it because it isn't really like gory or like it's kind of a disservice to say it's not scary because it is, but I think it's more atmospheric than that. And again, it just in terms of what you were, yeah, sure. But in terms of what you were saying about like comfort blanket movies, there's something about the atmosphere that like as soon as it gets to Halloween, I just kind of put the heating on, grab a cup of like warm tea or something, snuggle up with a dressing gown and watch Halloween in the dark. And it is like the autumn season for me personified, and it's comfy, it's cozy. I know every word. I think, again, the direction by Carpenter, I think for me has never been bettered. The sort of keeping things just off frame and then leaving empty space and having Michael even pop out unknown to the characters but seen by the audience and stuff. Again, as you mentioned, John Carpenter's theme is just amazing. The opening credits, the way that sets the tone. And again, I'd be here for all day if I start raving about everything I love. But yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, without a doubt, the original Halloween. So yeah, a lot of John Carpenter movies turning up in these lists, as it turns out. But we'll see what the final list looks like. Speaking of which, we've all given our top 20s and stuff, but I do have to go off and do some maths as quickly as I can here to try and establish a list, and then I'll discuss it when we get back and read it all out. But DK, in the meantime, you have our audience interaction section, yes?
Yeah, I do. We asked people on Twitter, on social media, what their favourite horror movies were, and we had quite a few responses on this. Going over to Twitter, Mangler at Mangler112 lists The Thing, Evil Dead, Jaws, Wreck, The Omen, The Exorcist, the 78 Dawn of the Dead, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, although he doesn't, clarify which one, Alien, one called Fraley that I'm not aware of. If anybody knows what that is,
Frailty.
It could well be. He could have just done a typo. So
I think it has Bill Paxton in it and Matthew McConaughey. That's the one he's doing. It's really good.
That's such a good movie.
Oh, all right. And the Mothman Prophecies.
Well, another good one.
Yeah. Now, Adrienne, who appears on our other podcast, Star Trek one usually, she's listed Ghost Story, and she's given the explanation as read the book, wanted to watch the movie, liked it a lot. Most folks don't. So she's also listed Prince of Darkness. A friend loaned me the VHS. I was alone at night. Lordy. Can't fault her for that one. It's a great film. Number 3, Serpent and the Rainbow. And Ringu. And Mike replied to her, well, I've seen one of those. Now, Mario Bowser 494 says, I can't rank them, but here's my favourites. The Shining, Spoorloos, a.k.a. The Vanishing, Paddock, Coraline, Psycho, and Shaun of the Dead. Whereas Humanist_Sin says, I love them all equally, but here's the ones off the top. Exorcist, Saw, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I'm surprised that were in no one's list because that's a really good movie. Day of the Dead, Evil Dead, both the original and the 2013 remake, The Ring, The Others, Scream, Interview with a Vampire, and Let Me In. Over on Facebook, Stacey Louise Hillhouse says, that's a fantastic horror name, says, I love Exorcist. Beverly Ann Rudd says, in no particular order, Evil Dead, From Dusk Till Dawn, Hocus Pocus, The Others, and Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And Kieran Martin Walker says, for me, it's Night of the Living Dead, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Wolfman, Evil Dead, Psycho, Halloween 3, another one, Dracula, The Mummy, the 1939 version, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Return of the Living Dead for comedic purposes. And we've got an extra list here, which I assume it's Mike's family, because he's put Mum.
Yes, my mum and my little brother. I asked them when I was over for dinner earlier today.
Okay. So Mike's mum likes Rosemary's Baby, The Omen, Cujo, Christine, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I'm guessing that's the original, yeah, Mike?
No, it's the remake, actually.
Oh, she's actually got taste then. Carrie, The Amityville Horror, The Birds, Psycho, another Halloween 3, Day of the Triffids, and The Fly original by the look of things. And Mike's brother likes Wreck, Eden Lake, It Chapter 1, Nightmare on Elm Street, Saw, The Descent, Sinister, The Mist, John Carpenter's The Thing, 30 Days of Night, the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead, Freddy vs. Jason, Train to Busan, and the 2004 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay, our own Will Templar, he's given us a bit of a countdown of his own favourites. There isn't 10, but we do have 6 here. Number 6, he's got Jordan Peele's Nope. Number 5, he has The Thing. Number 4, Jaws. Number 3, Halloween 2018. At number 2, he's got Aliens. And at number 1, Alien. So, yeah, take that, Mike. And Theo from the Big Screen Podcast, who you might have heard him on our Thing review the other week. He's given us his favourite 10, and at number 10, he's got Saw 2. Number 9, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At number 8, Insidious. At number 7, Wreck. At number 6, The Lighthouse, which I've not seen. I might have to check that one out. Number 5, Saw. Number 4, Alien. And at number 2 and 3, respectively, he's put the original Halloween. I'm guessing that's the 70s Carpenter version, and The Thing. And at number 1, he has The Descent.
Oh.
So yeah, that's quite a wide variety of opinions there. How's the mathematics going, Mike?
I have a list.
Oh.
Let me just double check everything, because I think I have a top 10 list, though there are some ties again, as there always are. Yeah. And so, well, saying that, there's only actually ties for the bottom 4 movies. So basically, it's a joint number 10 and then a joint number 8, and then the rest are all separated. So, yeah, without any further ado, drum roll. Our top 10 then, horror movies, the greatest horror movies of all time, according to our 4 panel of experts here. At joint number 10 is both Halloween and Halloween 2, which is bizarre coincidences, but again, awesome, why not? At joint number 8 is Silent Hill and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There we go.
Nice.
So yeah, at number 7 with 24 points is A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. Cool. 5 with 25 points is the original Fright Night.
Nice.
This is going to surprise a few people. Number 4 with 33 points is Halloween 3, which makes it the 3rd Halloween film in our top 10 and many places above 1 and 2, bizarrely. But yeah, okay. The number 3 film with an extra 1 point over that at 34 points is The Thing, the 1982 John Carpenter. The number 2 film with 37 points is Scream. Nice. And the number 1 greatest horror movie of all time, according to all 4 of us, is The Shining with 43 points.
Wow.
Right
on.
Wow.
So yeah, quite the list we ended up with, and bizarre that we did perfectly end up with 10, and it worked out. So I'm pleased about that. But I think we've named enough that, again, if you're listening, you're going to have a huge watch list now of things to go through, because part of the joy of it has been discovering some things that we may not have heard of, some things that we've just had to bump up our priority list and stuff. So that's
awesome. I
awesome.
know I've got quite a few to look up now after this.
For sure, yeah, definitely. Awesome. Cool. So all that remains is to say thank you so much to both of our guests, to Fred and to Tori, for agreeing to join us for this and share your knowledge.
Well, I appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Have you enjoyed yourselves?
Yeah, this is my first time ever really doing a podcast. So I was a little nervous, but once we started getting going, I got a little I eased up a bit.
Yeah,
I couldn't sense any nerves. So. Awesome. Cool. And yeah, you both know your stuff, obviously, and we talked a lot, so a lot of good horror choices. And did you want to, we'll start with you again, Tori, why not? We've been doing that all through. Did you have any sort of social medias or any projects you wanted to shout out before we go?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Twitter at Purgatori Horror. You can follow me on Instagram with the same handle. I started making TikToks with the same handle, Purgatory Horror, and I'm doing a 61 Days of Halloween event right now on my YouTube channel. I'm kind of behind on videos, but like I'm starting to catch up a little bit. So basically I'll do a video and an article each week, and that's about it.
Awesome. Sweet. And Fred, what about you? Do you have anything you wanted to shout out or any socials where people can find you?
Yeah, you can mostly find me on Twitter. I freaking live on there. At Fred's Corner. I also have a YouTube channel, which you can just look it up at Freddy D, where I just review horror movies. I just did all 10 Hellraiser movies. I need to do the new one because it just came out. I just watched it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Nice
Awesome.
one.
And do people often come to your place for 5 nights, Fred?
As much as I would like to.
It's been 3 hours, guys. That's all I've got in here.
It's
Good.
We'll put the links to all your social media and projects.
Oh yeah,
in the
I'm writing them down as we
description,
go. But definitely they'll be in the descriptions as well. So
Appreciate that.
yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for having me,
problem.
man. Thanks for all this. I really appreciate the opportunity.
This was so much fun. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you for
Well, we'll happily
joining
have
us.
you both back, so, yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, and thanks again, DK, for helping guide the ship as usual.
Or sinking it,
Yeah.
which your mileage may vary, but
No,
yeah,
you
been a
were more
pleasure.
prepared than me on this one, I definitely think. Awesome. Yeah, and did you want to shout out where people can find you and whatnot?
Oh, they know by now. It's all in the
Thank you.
description.
Just look at the description. Or hear our fantastic sort of outro. I did used to have a horror blog. I say used to because I don't write on it anymore, but you can find a lot of my old reviews and speech about horror at http:// Thursday12.blogspot.com. That's Thursday the 1-2th. Myself and my good friend Gary started that and then wrote for ages, and I haven't written on it for about 4 years. But you can still find a lot of cool stuff there. And yeah, let's all just keep enjoying watching movies and having a good old scary time. And DK, do you have anything you want to say as a quick sign off?
There was, but I forgot what it was. Happy Spookies.
Happy
spookies
spooky.
Happy
indeed.
spookies.
And yeah, remember, in the epic words of Arnie, we'll be back. Bye. Awesome. There we go.
You have been listening to the Silver Screen Podcast, hosted by Michael Wilson and DK. Created, produced, and edited by Michael Wilson. Behind the scenes sections and additional material produced by DK. Music by Timeless Journey. More information can be found at soundcloud.com/Timeless Journey. Follow the podcast on Twitter at podcast_screen, on Instagram at Silver Screen Podcast, or look for the Silver Screen Podcast under Facebook groups. Links to all our social media accounts and more are in this episode's description. This podcast is available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Just look for Silver Screen, Hit or Miss Star Trek. This has been a Mike's Podcast production. Copyright 2022. Thank you for listening.